Hello, my name is Mauricio Nishi. I'm an assistant professor in software engineering at the Delft University of Technology, and together with my colleagues Eric Maziero, Rafael Durelli, and Vinicius Durelli, I will present our TSE paper entitled The Effectiveness of Supervised Machine Learning Algorithms in Predicting Software Refactoring. Refactoring is about changing the internal structure of the software without changing what it does. And you usually do this because you want to get easier maintenance, easier evolution, and etc. Refactoring got really popular after Martin Fowler's book, the one that I showed here in the slides. And since then, lots of empirical studies have shown why refactoring is so important. And I highlight this study by Kim et al. At Microsoft, and they show that refactoring helps teams to improve maintainability, readability, they see fewer bugs, there is a reduction in the code size, etc., etc. So we know that refactoring is important, and the question is, can we support developers in identifying pieces of code that really need to be refactored right now? And we see indeed lots of research on this. For example, some works try program analysis, so looking at the source code and for specific characteristics in the source code, and if those characteristics happen, then you alarm developers. Or by combinations of code metrics, let's say you look for methods that complexity is greater than 10 and coupling is greater than X, you alarm developers. Or search-based software refactoring, where you design a genetic algorithm or a search-based algorithm that tries to, for example, maximize cohesion, reduce coupling, etc., etc. And machine learning, back then when we started this in 2019, there was not a lot of work on the topic. But our main goal here was that all those techniques, they really depend on humans coining heuristics to identify what is not so good in the source code. And what we wanted to do here is take a more data-driven approach. Can we learn from real-world refactorings and use these to then recommend refactorings to developers? That's what this paper is about. And our first attempt was to model the problem as a binary classification problem. So on one side, we have methods that need to be refactored, and that we get again from real-world data, methods that were refactored, we use those as data points. And on the other side, methods that do not need to be refactored because they are stable enough, they are good enough, developers can work with them without really needing to improve them. And hopefully, if you give all this data to a model, the model will learn how to separate between these two. And this is what we use as recommendation, whether a method should or should not be refactored. To collect this data, we need both sides, as I showed before, and finding code elements that were refactored is not so complicated anymore, mostly due to the work of Tsantalis et al. In this paper, the authors propose Refactoring Miner, which is a tool that is able to visit a Git repo, for example, and extract refactorings that have happened, and with very high accuracy. And that's what we use to extract methods and classes and variables that were refactored. And just to give you a sense of what refactorings we're talking about, those are the refactorings we experimented with, and those are basically all the refactorings that were supported by Refactoring Miner in 2019. However, identifying methods that are good enough is not so easy. We don't have a lot of work on identifying good code. So in this work, we propose an heuristic. And the heuristic is based on the repository. And if we notice that a class is being changed by developers, so developers are maintaining that class, but they're not really refactoring it, we consider that class and all its methods as good enough, because developers can evolve this class without refactoring it. And those are the ones we use as counterexamples for the model. Deciding how much you look until you decide that this method or class is stable enough is a parameter, a hyperparameter of the model. We tried with 25, 50, 100. We report the differences in the paper. But what I want you to understand here is more about the heuristic we propose. Then we need an empirical study to validate our idea, and we tried this in 3 different ecosystems: Apache, F-Droid, and GitHub. So in a total of 10,000 projects. And we visited around 10 million commits of these projects looking for refactorings, and this took us around 1,000 hours of data collection. In the end, we were indeed able to collect hundreds and hundreds of different refactorings, real-world refactorings at different levels, class levels, method levels, and variable levels. In terms of features, what do we extract from these methods and classes? Basically code metrics. So everything you can measure in a static manner, we get it. Source code metrics, process metrics, and ownership metrics. These last two are really popular also in defect prediction, so we wanted to experiment with them as well. And note that according depending on the level of the refactoring, we give more data. So if it's a method level refactoring, let's say an extract method, we give all the features at method level as well as the features of the class that the method is in, just to give a sense of context to the model. Then we just train the models, and we did a very simple pipeline. We balanced the data set because for some refactorings the data sets can be really imbalanced between the two classes. We scale the features, we do some hyperparameter optimization, we do tenfold cross-validation, and we try different models like logistic regression, random forests, SVMs, and etc. In terms of research questions, we asked how accurate are those models, what are the important features, and if we train a model on one ecosystem, can it really work on another ecosystem which is completely different? So let me just highlight some of the results. So the random forest models, they were very accurate, an average of 90% across all the different refactoring operations we trained the models on. And even the logistic regression, which was kind of the simplest model we tried, showed some nice accuracy on an average of 80%. In terms of features, process metrics were also quite important, and this matches with what we observe in defect prediction work, as well as class level features when predicting method level refactorings, which basically tells us that the context makes a lot of sense as well when it comes to recommending methods that need to be refactored. Finally, when training the model on one ecosystem and trying on the other, we still see some nice numbers there. Precision, recall, accuracy around 80%, so a 10% drop from the first RQ, but still quite good. And so if I can summarize, structural metrics, they seem to be good features for refactoring prediction, not only structural features, but all those that we used. Models can do a good job even when tested in datasets that are completely different from each other, and the prediction can happen at different levels: class level refactorings, method level refactorings, and variable level refactorings. Finally, let me discuss the open challenges and things I want you to work with me in the future. So the first one is we need better heuristics to identify methods that do not need to be refactored. Those are crucial to the model. We propose these naive heuristics, so to say, but I'm pretty sure there are better ways to do this. And even if we like this heuristic, we need to create tooling to extract this in a more precise way. Right now, it's just simple code doing this. The granularity of the recommendation. Right now, the model recommends true or false, and like this method needs an extract method, but maybe you want to recommend more specific things. Like these 10 lines of code are the ones that need to be extracted away. Process metrics, can we avoid them? Because in practice they are very expensive. This is something we are seeing now at an industry partner. We are trying this work. So can we build model using even simpler features? Finally, replications. We should replicate this work to make sure that all the results are sound enough. We took the first step. I had a master student last year that replicated everything, improved our tooling, which is actually available on this Refactoring AI GitHub organization. So feel free to help me there. And that was it. That's my talk. If you have any questions, just let us know. Thank you very much.